Dr. Sadiq Wasfi, you left Iraq in 1977. You have 7 siblings still there. You haven't seen them since you left. How worried are you about them right now?
I am not that worried because they are some 365 miles away to the south of Baghdad in Basra. That's the only port for Iraq, and my siblings are older than I am, so they really they don't have that much mobility. But the situation is as chaotic and arbitrary in Basra as it is anywhere else in Iraq.
Is life in Iraq better now than it was under the rule of Saddam Hussein?
No way. It's a hell of a life now, because there are armed militia, even in the most peaceful place, that they will tell you, especially against women. Women cannot go out alone now. Women now cannot drive. They used to be able to drive. They cannot go out without accompanied by a man. And armed militia will, in my hometown, they burned movie theaters, they ransack liquor stores. So there is nothing now, no nightclubs, absolutely nothing.
Would your siblings want to leave, or have they got the desire to leave?
No, they don't. They spend all their lives in there, and it has been a hell of a life since Saddam took over, and then Saddam departure, and now it's worse. Every time we think we have hit bottom, it become worse. In the Iran-Iraq war, we thought that's the worst. When that's over, the sanctions start, and we thought this is the worst. And now, with the removal of Saddam, it became even worse. Yeah.
We recently saw the handover of power to the interim Iraqi government. Do you have any faith that they'll be able to make life better there?
Absolutely not. The interim Iraqi government live in what's called the green zone, which is guarded by the American. They are not mixing with the people. They don't know what the people are doing, and they are simply a puppet in the hand of the American authority. The American will have the final say on everything important. Those Iraqis are chosen in order to hire policemen and armed forces in order to fight the resistance movement. And so I have a feeling that will be the beginning of a civil war rather than a solution.
We've heard that American soldiers are in Iraq rebuilding schools, trying to repair infrastructure that's been damaged, trying to instill order, trying to train police and militia. Do you think the Iraqi people would be better off today if the soldiers pulled out?
I believe that will be the only solution, that when the Americans leave. Building a school is all propaganda. They are not doing anything. If there is any construction work done on Iraqi military bases, which are now American military bases. So absolutely there is nothing done. I know that from people, not only my family, but my colleagues who are back home. There is no construction work done. And that's what the problem. That's what the problem is. The problem in Iraq now, there is no security, no safety. That's number one. Number two, there is no services. there is interruption with electricity and water. And this is now 15 months like this. And the third thing, college graduate and those who are eligible to work, there are no jobs. The only jobs available is to become a policeman or soldiers, which their life won't be long.
So what is the answer for Iraq? Will there ever be peace in that country?
I hope there will be peace, but there will be no peace until the administration realize they made a mistake. They know they made a mistake. They admit made a mistake, and they pull out of Iraq slowly with the replacement of some United Nations force until Iraqi government can take over.
So you do agree that some sort of force should be in place to instill order, because without anybody there to keep the peace, wouldn't different warring factions just start? Wouldn't there be a civil war immediately?
That's true. But you might calm the situation down if there is a schedule of departure of the American. If there is now, the Americans say we cannot lose that, and they are decided to stay. Everybody say, from Bush to McCain to other, that it doesn't matter how much losses. We cannot afford losing Iraq. And the nationalists over there, they say they cannot afford losing to the American. And the miscalculation of the American is that they forgot Iraq is the center of Arab nationalism, and they didn't count for that. They thought the Iraqis will kowtow to them. Absolutely not. That was a big mistake. And while 99% or more hated Saddam, believe me, 99% or more hate the American, although they might not be expressing it.
One day you believe there may be a democracy in Iraq and the people will live peacefully together?
I hope so. But a democracy, we never had democracy. We always have a fake democracy since Iraq independence, from the 30s till now. But fake democracy, if it is promised by Iraqis to Iraqis, it's better than fake democracy promised by occupier to the Iraqis. Don't forget, in a few days, the American will celebrate July 4th. Americans celebrate July 4th when they kicked the last British soldiers. They didn't celebrate sovereignty with occupation. No way to occupation. There are no people, unless this is really a racist attitude on behalf of the administration, because we have a darker skin color, so we could be ridiculed like this or treated like this.
If you could go back to Iraq, would you go?
Now, under my health condition, probably it is not wise, but I would like to go and and serve or spend my last few years over there.
And finally, do you think during your lifetime you'll see peace in Iraq? People living freely?
I probably. I'm very hopeful. I have been like this since I was 14 years old. And now I'm 67 years old. It did not materialize. So still, maybe I will see it in my lifetime. With the 25 million Iraqis, we live on that hope. We are one of the richest countries in the Middle East, in the world actually. The rich soil, Mesopotamia, between the Tigris and the Euphrates, rich in oil, but the richness in oil become a curse rather than a blessing. And it became the interest of imperialists from all over the world.
Is there still enough hope inside of the people of Iraq?
I hope so. I hope so. That's what keeps them going. That's what keeps them going and raising their children and teaching their children and hoping every generation thinks it's now the third or the fourth generation, thinking maybe the next time will be better. Maybe the next year will be better.
Do you think deep down inside the men and women would like to be treated equally, especially the women? Do you think that would be the goal of an Iraqi woman, to be treated as equal to an Iraqi man?
I believe the women in Iraq are treated more equally than anywhere else in the Arab world. If there is a place where women are treated badly, it's Saudi Arabia. But in Iraq, the reason for that, it was the Iraq-Iran war, where most of the men went to battle. So the women took charge. And they became even policemen, traffic policemen, judges, lawyers, doctors. So women in Iraq are taking charge. And I have my sister, principal of a high school for a long time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think it's possible to one day have a government in Iraq that's made up of Kurds, Shiites, and Sunnis?
I think it should be. I think it should be equal treatment.
Equal representation?
Equal representation. And but the Kurd being located in the north, and they have the desire to split. The only reason why they are not splitting is because of the interest of Turkey, where the Americans are catering for. They don't want, because the Kurds are located in Iraq, in Turkey, in Syria, and in Iran. And in no way the Turk will let the Kurd in Iraq have power that will make the Kurd in Turkey, which are more in number, that will raise hell to the Turkish government. So the Americans trying to cater both to the Turk, their agents and their friends, and to the Kurd who have them as a friend. Yeah.
Just my last question. Yeah. If we do get a security force in there, a NATO force, peacekeeping force, it will be made up of countries that are great allies with the United States, as well as some U.S. Military personnel as well. Is that acceptable?
As long as they are not British, French, and American. I believe every other European country you could choose which are not involved in an imperialist occupation of any of the Arab world. France, England, and the U.S. has been involved in imperialist
but that's
occupation.
Not realistic. You know that they'll be there.
I don't think so. I don't think so, because number one, election in here and the voters in here, the American people now, the majority are not happy of American being sent to Iraq to die, and their patience will be exhausted soon. Mm-hmm. And I don't think anybody, why would American who are enjoying a good life in here will leave the good life and go 7,000 miles to kill and be killed by somebody else? Only insane person will do that. Only people who don't have a brain will do that.
There are 180,000 people doing that right now.
140,000.
140,000.
Yeah, 140,000, because it's now you have a volunteer army, and they are, I bet you they regret signing.
But what about the soldiers who come back and say, I was there to do good. I wanted to help the Iraqi people.
Those people, I think they are put on television for propaganda purposes. They don't mean it.
What if they truly do believe it?
I don't believe that. Oh, there are some good doers. Very few. There are few, Jesus Christ, who wants to do good. But the majority, they hate it. I know, I spoke with them, some of them of my students. They hate every minute of it. They regret signing to be part of the army. Absolutely. Who wants to do that? There is 115-degree temperature now in Basra. You think a British person in his right mind will rather be in there dressed with the camouflage fatigue, with the bullet resistance vest?
How do you explain the people that are still signing up? They want to go over.
No jobs. The problem is no jobs. And it's always who is signing up? Minorities, black and Latino and poor white. Who is signing to the army? Look at them, examine them. Very few people. And some of them are promised they will get their college tuition. That's it. And I tell you, they realize it's a trap, the college tuition. I don't want to go. If I don't want to go to fight somebody else's war because Halliburton wants to get all the contracts from Iraq, I will go die for Cheney. Why would I do that? Only fools do that. It must be a very strong propaganda machine that convince people to do that. The same in Iraq. Who think if a high school teacher get paid $50 a month and a soldier get paid $250, why do you think they are paid 5 times as much? Because they know they're going to die in a week or two. That's what it is.
Okay. Dr. Sadiq Wasfi, thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.